Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pure Cringe. My name is Heather Bombard, and I am here with the OG host, Maria McQuaid. Hi, Maria.
Honestly, I'm so glad that we decided on Southern Charm. Every time we start talking about it, I can't help but smile because there's just so many hilarious, weird things here. And I can't think of anybody I'd rather be going through this than with you because you are the queen of research. Nothing gets by you, Heather. Nothing gets by you. You, in reality, bring the most as the host. So I'm so happy to be doing this with you.
Oh, me too. I can't wait to dive into this episode because this is the pinnacle. This is what we've been working up to thus far in this season.
Yes.
And we're only in episode 4. This is season 1, episode 4 of Southern Charm. The title of this episode is She or Isn't She? Who's she, Maria?
Oh, so sadly, it is Kathryn Dennis, the scion of two Southern families, Doodah. Here's the thing. We were just talking about this right before we started recording. You know, Kathryn was not supposed to be part of the show at all.
No, she's not in the intro. She's not on the credits.
She's not a main character. She fucks her way to the middle.
Yes.
To quote Bethany Frankel, she fucks her way to the middle of this craziness. And by the virtue of the fact that she is sleeping around, she becomes the focus and almost like the sun around which so many of our characters revolve.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Good storyline, Maria.
It really is. Kathryn's storyline touches almost every single person in the group directly. So it doesn't surprise me that we are on our 4th episode and we are wondering like we're in high school and late for our periods, which I'm sure never happened to either of us. I was triggered a little bit by the late night trip to the pharmacy. I think I may have done that once in my life.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait to talk about it. I was actually just looking over my notes to try to see if I can find out what I wrote about Kathryn at first, because in season 1, when we first get introduced to her and Thomas is talking about how she is the scion of 2 amazing families, so on and so forth, I did do a little quick deep dive into her because she had actually been a page or something in Congress in South Carolina. And that was where she got the nickname of something Barbie.
Was it Senate Barbie? I think it was Senate Barbie.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just funny that she has become pretty much the center of the universe here for this show. So yeah, we jump right in to setting up what is going to happen. Is she or is she not pregnant with Thomas Ravenel's baby?
Gross. And either way,
I love to see what they're going to try to pinpoint our focus on as we start, because I am always watching the previously on Southern Charm with every TV show because I need to be reminded of what the heck happened. But in this one, we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scenes. 5 scenes they go through. So wow. I'm just going to run through them very quickly. In the previously on Southern Charmed, we go all the way back to season 1 where Thomas Ravenel and Kathryn Dennis are in bed, having hooked up after that party in the first episode. And this is where I noted in my notes, we don't have any information from Kathryn Dennis because she wasn't meant to be on the show. So everybody else, Cameran Eubanks, Shep, Craig, Thomas, Whitney, all of them, we get these beautiful confessionals, which were made famous by, do you remember?
The Real World?
Back in The Real World, yes. Unfortunately, there can't be a Real World crossover for us because that is owned by MTV, which is not owned by Bravo, unfortunately. But we do get lovely voiceovers from Thomas Ravenel, who I started dubbing as Deep Thoughts with Thomas Ravenel. But they take a voiceover from his confessional that his intuition said no, but maybe his little head said yes. Gross.
He's so good.
Because she's hot, quote. We get to see that for a second. Then they go to Shep and Craig arguing about how Shep hooked up with Kathryn and Craig liked her. Notice in this one as well, Kathryn Dennis, we just see her faces. That's all we get to see because she doesn't even get to talk in this conversation that's about her. She's not talking. No. She's not a conversation. She's not part of the conversation at all. So fight for Kathryn Dennis. So we have a little reminder about that. And then Whitney and Pat, we get a flashback to them discussing the restaurant in the kitchen. I was thinking to myself, what exactly is Pat and Whitney's plot line? Is it about the importance of family, or parents are shown because it's all their money, or how much Pat disapproves of her son, but oh well, like it's just so funny.
Well, I think that the two of them are there to really show us sort of the untarnished Southern traditional wealthy family, right? Because we would see that with Ravenel, except he is a convicted felon. We would see that with Shep, except for he is arguably a functional alcoholic with no job, right? And so and these are the only people that really come from money. And so I think with Whitney, and I think that's why it feels almost like it's the linchpin of the show. Without Patricia and Whitney in the show, I think it's just about a bunch of friends who live in Charleston.
Yeah.
I think that is Patricia's husband's money that gives them that status. That is I think the backbone of what the show was supposed to be. In reality, few of them have the money and the status like that, right? None of the women do, right? Craig doesn't. No. So half the group does not. No. So we have 3 haves and 3 have-nots. So.
I think it's funny because they cut back to one of the earlier episodes where Pat's just shaking her head no to Whitney opening a restaurant. And when he says he thinks that Charleston needs a Mexican restaurant, she says she thinks that's a little bit out of your realm, which I love because it's literally setting up how much she's going to dump all over Whitney in this episode. So it's like she obviously disapproves.
Yep.
And then we cut quickly to Jenna's house, who I honestly forget Jenna King's name every time I start watching an episode, and I have to then be reminded who she is. But
Poor Jenna.
Previous episode where Jenna is having lunch with Cam and Whitney and Whitney's assistant, who I also don't remember her name, Brittany, something like that.
Brandy,
thank you.
She's a fine girl.
Brandy says, how do you afford this place? With my bank account. How do you afford your place? Working.
So uncomfortable, so fucking uncomfortable. What a weird conversation.
In the confessional that they show, again, somebody who's given a confessional, if I wasn't a Southern woman with good manners, I would just tell her to fuck off, is what she says in her thing. But apparently she has good manners. And I wanted to poll you, Maria, what does good manners mean to you?
It's funny. I think about it in terms of etiquette, I guess. And I remember back in the day when we were doing business etiquette classes at that place that we both used to work at. And I remember learning about etiquette because growing up, I always thought that manners and etiquette were like this set of rules, like to keep people in line. But what I found was that manners and etiquette were ways of behaving that make other people feel comfortable.
That's a great way to put it. Now, of our friends, and I will run through them, I'm curious, do you think Jenna King has manners? She's showing them here.
Yeah, I think she has manners, and I would call it restraint here. Because I think she also, too, if you are someone who has her boyfriend paying for everything, no shade, I have no problem with that. But why don't you have your patois, your story ready? Like when someone's like, oh my God, this is an amazing house. Yeah, I've been working in investments for years or whatever. Or I've been dabbling in investments. And like, why are you surprised that someone's asking about this home, which is a multi-million-dollar home, which you live in by yourself?
I do have to say I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Yeah. I think it's telling that she says my bank account instead of my job, or, I'm
Yeah, because her
married well,
boyfriend
or
puts money in
whatever.
it. Yeah.
My bank account. But also, if you do a little digging on, which I will get into in a little bit, she actually never lived there.
Really?
Yes. So there's a little thing that's like she didn't live there, nor and
That
it
was
should
just for the
obviously
show?
it must have just been for the show. Yeah, temporary thing, temporary rental. Anyway, so we have Jenna King. What about Shep Rose? Do you think Shep Rose has manners?
I do. I think that Shep, probably out of all of them, including Whitney, probably comes from the best family. Yeah.
Okay. Craig?
Yes.
Cameran?
Yes, for sure.
There we go. Whitney?
Yeah. They're
Okay.
skewed. They're fucked up, but like they exist. Yeah.
T-Rav?
Yeah, I do.
Patricia?
Oh, of course, yes.
Kathryn Dennis?
No, I don't.
Unsure.
Yeah, I may be conflating her with the Kathryn that I would come to know years later.
That could be it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we jump straight to, they're talking about JD's Carolina Day. Oh, no, sorry. This wasn't JD's Carolina Day party. I don't know what party they were at last episode. They all went to the thing where Kathryn and Thomas talked, which is where we're going to start out in the first scene.
That's Jenna's pool party.
Jenna's pool party. Thank you. The Carolina Day party is coming up. But yeah.
Oh,
so,
it 100% is. Buckle up for that.
Yeah, so scene 5, which is the last scene of the recap, is you may have put me in a position where I might be pregnant. And I thought to myself, what do we know about them so far up until this episode? They had a one-night stand first episode. We know Thomas Ravenel is looking for a wife. He was trying to woo Danny. Then Kathryn was maybe seeing Craig. Then Kathryn had a one-night stand or hookup or whatever with Shep. And then Kathryn Dennis is, I wish I could say, we don't know, because we don't know anything about Kathryn. We don't have any confessionals. All we know about her. What?
She did also hook up with Whitney.
Well, we don't know that yet, though.
We do know because he brings her to that party.
Oh, he brought her to the...
They arrived together.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, no. Maybe I did. Yes, we talked about that.
Yep.
So all we know about Kathryn is what people say about her. And I'm so curious, what did Thomas Ravenel tell her when they were hooking up and all that other stuff?
He must have been really coming on incredibly strong with the charm.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't seem to have viewed it as a one-night stand. Which blows my mind, because she was hooking up with all of these other people. That's what makes me think that I believe that Kathryn is very contrived, very manipulative. I think she sees Thomas as easy prey. I think she's very smart. I think she sees Thomas as easy prey. I think when we look at her grandmother's house on that plantation where the fucking shutters are falling off, this is a family that used to have money but probably does not anymore.
Yeah,
and I'm sure she could use an injection. I'm sure she doesn't want to work. She's Senate Barbie, right? She's not Amal Clooney.
That is
right.
true.
This is not a career woman who was in the Senate and was like, yeah, I'm going to do things. This is someone who's come back and now is on the social circuit, sleeping her way publicly. There's cameras. She knows this. This is not a documentary that someone does not recognize as being filmed.
True. Well, it's interesting. We don't really have a voice for her, so I'm going to take every little bit that we get from her. But we do, while they're saying drunk Thomas Ravenel is asking if she's evading him and she calls him a jerk, I think she legitimately feels, and we'll hear about that more, a little slighted. But deep thoughts from Thomas Ravenel. We had unprotected sex. That's a no-no. Honestly, it just rage. I was seeing red at this point because I'm like, it's such a childish way to put that. And there's language that some people use who are still living like they're gonna get caught being naughty that really bothers me. He can't regulate himself. It must be a childhood development type thing. But Kathryn Dennis's looks, like she gives us a lot of looks because that's all we get from her. And her face is so expressive. So that's all we know about what she's thinking in a moment until they actually put her on camera. But I reminded myself before we jump into the theme song, she's 21 years old.
Yeah.
So I think she definitely may have wanted to be on TV. I just don't know how far a 21-year-old is able to manipulate this situation. I feel like she's being manipulated a little bit. But that's just me. We'll see.
Oh, I can't wait, Heather, because I think, what's funny is I think the complete opposite, only because I see Thomas Ravenel as like such a pathetic, out of control, functioning alcoholic that I feel like, because she keeps, when he says things to her, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, like, that child will want for nothing.
Oh God,
I will give that child everything. You don't think, I think her eyes get bigger in that moment, and I think she sees dollar signs.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Let's do this, my friend. Let's do this. I know.
So we bop into It's Easy, which is the song that is the theme song by Mia Sable, who I did just a quick little thing in. She's from Charlotte, North Carolina. The song was created in 2012, and she has since done music for Dance Moms and Toddlers and Tiaras.
Well, I love Dance Moms, by the way.
Interesting. So we jump right to our first scene of the episode. Thomas and Kathryn outside of Surmit's corner. He wants, I think he has red wine. She might have champagne. Thomas Ravenel is like, we need to go to the drugstore now and find out. And Kathryn is like, I don't want to know. I'm not ready. Which honestly, to me, I have thought I was pregnant before and waited till the next day because I was having a good time and I did not want to like just end everything and go and find out if I need to stop drinking right at that moment. And it's just funny because I was like, some people have a fight and some people have a flight, plus 10 other reactions that you can have to something like this. And it's such two different perspectives. Thomas wants to know right now because this has serious implications for him. He might have gotten a 21-year-old young lady pregnant. And Kathryn's, I'm not ready to be a mom. I don't want to know. Thomas tells her he needs to know. And then they step outside. And it's so interesting because she says she's upset because you haven't talked to me in a month. So this is where we find out that first season 1, episode 1, where they slept together was a month ago. Yeah. And he essentially ghosted her after that. So I think this is where my sympathy is coming up because then she's free to go sleep with whoever else she wants, still be on TV, whatever else. But now there's a thing. He says he's been so busy with life. And then he was like, what about Shep? You slept with Shep. And obviously his wooing of Danny wasn't a secret to anybody. Like, whatever. So Kathryn calls him out and he says, how do I know you're not pregnant with Shep? And she tells him to shut up and that's not okay, which I do, because questioning before you even know if you're pregnant, if it's somebody else's kid, or that she doesn't know who could have potentially knocked her up, is a little insulting, I think. It's like he's already grasping at straws. He's being smart, but that's something you keep to yourself. Like, you just found out somebody might be pregnant. They slept with somebody else potentially a week ago, 2 weeks ago. We don't know anything about the timeline per se.
That's true too.
But of course, and you can tell she's like very hurt girl about this. I think I wrote a lot more about this scene just because it's all we get of Kathryn, really, until they decide to write her in the show a little bit. So she said, yeah, we'll find out, and then you can move on with your life and find yourself a girl. Like, she's being very pointed. Like, it's obvious that he's looking for a wifey and didn't find it in her, and just boop. He blames it on the alcohol, of course. And my favorite line is, I just thought that doing what you did, you would have known what you were doing. Meaning,
he didn't pull out.
Yeah. If you're not going to use a condom, you should at least know how not to use a condom. And I love the fact she's 21 and she's like, dude, this is just as much your fault as it is mine. I thought you would know. So they get into a taxi and they go out to a drugstore so that Tom can find his answer right now as to whether or not she's pregnant.
There was a 24-hour drugstore right near Mass General. That's where, in college, that's where we would always have to go.
I love it. And I think he says this is not the plan to have a child with someone this age, meaning 21. And I'm a little freaked. So I love it. They go, they get their pregnancy test. They go back to his place. My favorite, she says, shut the door and don't talk to me.
This is what I'm saying. I feel like she's very, listen, cut the shit.
And he's Kathryn, darling. I'm like, gross. Just cut it out. And he says more deep thoughts from Thomas Ravenel. I'm a Southern gentleman, and of course, I'll do the right thing. I'm not sure what that means. But their test comes up with an error. Who knows? Did she run it underwater? Is it just an old test? Nobody knows.
What do you think?
It's funny because I did hear water running, but it was during a scene where Thomas is running water in the sink. So I don't know. It could go either way as far as I'm concerned, because we don't know if she's pregnant yet or not. But it's up in the air. Do you have a theory?
I just don't trust Kathryn at all, knowing what I know about Kathryn.
But she says she wants to go to a doctor.
Yep.
And so they go downstairs and keep drinking. And he tells her, if you're pregnant, I'm right there. Everything I got, every dime in my fortune. I'm so curious to know what this fortune is. That child is going to have a wonderful, lucky life. And in my head, I'm like, Danny? Is she jealous about Danny? Thomas is not quiet. Does everybody know everything? Like at that party where they first met, where he was like, I'm looking for a wife and you could be my wife. This would be the best sign. So I don't know what Kathryn's intentions are.
She says, if I'm not pregnant, and then he says that maybe it wasn't meant to be, but he's garbled.
Because it feels like he's still cajoling her a little bit, if that's the right word. So yeah. That's where we leave off with Thomas and Kathryn. No answers yet, of course. It's the first scene of the episode. We're not going to get an answer yet. So
they want to string us along.
Right? So we go to season 2. Someone's in a Bentley. Gates are opening. We recognize it at Pat Altschul's house with Whitney. And they're in their Bentley with their driver. And she tells him, you look nice. Who made that suit?
Savile Row.
Which I love. Who made that suit? I don't have a suit made for me.
Go Whitney.
So Whitney and Pat go to the Gibbs Museum. Pat gave them a painting, apparently. And Pat is talking to Whitney about how she thinks he should sign up for the Young Directors Circle. Whitney, who I think we see a lot of his insecurities this episode, they cut through every once in a while, and he's I'm sure they'll be thrilled to meet me. But there'll be a lot of interesting people there. We learned that Pat has a double master's in art and archaeology. Archaeology or architecture?
No,
I think she said archaeology. Yeah.
I was so impressed. I was like, this is why I love Pat.
Pat is the best.
He's so interesting.
I really do think that like the elders in this, they were really going for Real Housewives of Charleston with this. Look at these folks who could be on the Real Housewives.
100%.
We learned that she put together major art collections for private collectors, and her late husband was named as one of the top 20 in the country for collecting art.
That's pretty cool.
We meet Angela Mack, who's the executive director of the Gibbs Museum, and she and Pat talk about, or Pat brings up that they were in the New York Social Diary, which is something that I have never followed. But I guess you have to be a certain level to find yourself in those places.
Not that you don't belong there, Heather Bombard, but
I love this because this is where Pat really starts busting in on Whitney. Whitney used to bring home this one supermodel girlfriend, and she said, my favorite artist is Moet, which is a brand of champagne, which I love so much. They raised, this number got to me, 2014, $7.1 million in the capital campaign for the Gibbs Museum.
That's crazy.
Patricia is thanked for her contributions. Whitney is not going to drink sweet tea because it has too many calories. This is
I can confirm. I can
insecurities.
confirm that. I can confirm that.
Oh my God, I love this so much. He's like, I'll just take some water. Too many calories. We'll learn what his diet is coming up. Pat says, I sent Whitney to Oxford to study at the Sorbonne and live in Paris, and I don't want him to be a busboy. Because she's pointing out that if
when you
I would rather say that my son the filmmaker, not my son the maitre d'.
Yeah, when you work in a restaurant or own a restaurant, it's not like early on you can just sort of roll in and be like, yeah, I'll be in the office. You are bussing tables and making reservations and washing dishes and prepping food, and you're doing everything. And Whitney, I hate to be a downer, but Patricia is right. Like, she has sent him to all of these schools to educate his mind. None of these schools have had a hospitality program where he would have learned the skills that he would have needed to be able to run a restaurant.
Yes, and she's constantly pointing it out.
I have a theory about this. I think that it's her money.
Very well could be, although I'm assuming from her late husband, they both got a nice chunk of change. I'm assuming that Whitney has his own trust fund that he does whatever he wants with. I don't think.
But I would be willing to bet that he's going to want money from her.
Very potentially. I just love this conversation, the fact that she's underwhelmed by the idea of a restaurant. She tells Whitney she finds it pedestrian and banal.
Yes, I honestly, she's so well spoken. You could just smooch her.
I just love it. It's just so funny. So yeah, she's making fun of him for being a busboy, and we move on from there. It was a lovely little glimpse into their lives. It's just so interesting.
They're Harold and Maude. Whenever I see them, I'm like, they're Harold and Maude. But I will say, let's both of us try and use the words pedestrian and banal in sentences this coming week.
I don't know if I'll have an opportunity to, but I will do my best.
I'm sure I'll have 12 opportunities, so I'm going to try and hold myself back from saying it repeatedly. Her questions are valid, right? The idea that I think he is going to, put it this way, for whatever money he has, when he comes back into Charleston, where does he live? With her. So,
for now, let's see in the next couple episodes, he might get her
questions, in my opinion, a stabbing cabin. I think her questions are valid. I think his responses are inadequate, and she does call him on it. I do love that Harold and Maude vibe between the two of them is what makes them so much fun to watch.
They are entertaining.
Yeah, they really, really are. And I think that when he's not saying gross shit, when he's not making disgusting, I know it. When he's not making like disgusting sexual innuendo, and his sexual innuendos are also pedestrian and banal. When he's not doing that, I think his scenes with Pat are some of the most fun. I just think that it's tough because Whitney is always, I think because he is so inadequate, because he's so awkward. So we go from that sort of like almost Tim Burton-ish vibe with them. It's like pastel Tim Burton, or if Lily Pulitzer and Tim Burton had a baby. And we have that somber music, and that takes us to Thomas's house, right? Because now everything with Thomas is serious because he forgot that he doesn't know how to have sex. And so Kathryn stayed over again at his house. How much do you want to make a bet that they had sex and it was unprotected again?
I would like to think they didn't, because the first scene that we show her in, she's still in her dress in bed. I'm not sure. But what I thought was so interesting about this, I have 4 lines. So we essentially see Thomas walking around the house, cleaning his face, like acting all forlorn because he might be a daddy and whatever. And he says some interesting things, more deep thoughts with Thomas Ravenel. Mm-hmm. I made mistakes in relationships all the time. I'm a disaster zone. It's a self-destructive streak I have within me. Convicted felon aside, I'm a nice person, and I don't want to walk away from something that could potentially be a child. Weird way to phrase that. I'm not going to screw this up. but I want to know what's going on because it affects my entire future. Great.
I feel like he didn't even know it affected his future until Shep told him it did, but whatever.
Oh, so he brings Kathryn some coffee, and I hate this because she's, yep, I definitely want to see a doctor, and his response is, set it up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Just so matter-of-factly, that's your problem, young lady. You're the one who might be pregnant, so set it up. And then they hug and she leaves. Like, it's very quick. It was all like a little something to watch while he told us.
A segue. Yeah, it's a segue for him to say all that stuff, right?
And he was just waiting for her to leave because he essentially grabs his coffee. And where does he go, Maria?
That was so fucking strange. I forget when I'm in Savannah, the same thing, how normalized it is that people just, even with a cup of coffee or whatever, that you would bring crockery or an actual glass of anything outside your house and walk around with it.
Yeah.
It's so strange for someone who grew up in New England to see that whole vibe. So he walks out of his house with just a mug, just walking down the street. So he must live super close. Although I do believe that he has a golf cart to Shep.
Yeah, he goes to Shep's house. We've all seen that on the credits and the
oh yeah.
Which I wrote in parentheses. It's so ballsy to just wake up the next morning and walk over to Shep's house, who we already know from the opening scene that he doesn't get up till like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, to wake him up for this too.
So he's like, knock, 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 knock. Got a second? Shep's answer? No.
Yeah.
He
comes in
says,
anyway.
I'm sleeping. And he just drops the bomb.
Yeah.
Kathryn's pregnant. And then he's not even beating around the bush. He brings it up almost as a joke, like, well, could you be the dad? And
this is why I'm saying I think he is looking for any way at this point to get out of it. I think Thomas is of two minds. He is of the mind when he is sober that he realizes that this is not someone that he wants to be connected to. When he is drunk, I think he feels so relieved that she doesn't care about his conviction. I think that Danny and all of that, rejecting him because of that. Yeah, and I think because
she's willing to bang him.
And she doesn't care. No. She's not embarrassed about his conviction.
And I think it's so interesting because Shep doesn't even acknowledge the fact that Thomas said, you had sex with her, you could be the dad too. He really quickly moves on. And he's, what do you want? Advice? It's so interesting. I wrote down, they kind of go back and forth a little bit over who had sex with her when. And Thomas mentions that they should get a paternity test if and when a child is born, just to be sure. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, I shouldn't have had sex with her, is what Thomas says. I should have used protection. He was just drunk and stupid. And Shep and Thomas are just sitting there, just forlorn. They're both like, ugh. Like, Shep is like, don't bring this mess into my house first thing in the morning. It has nothing to do with me. I just put my dick in her once. Sorry, you can cut that out. Cut that out.
No, and he probably. I have no doubt that Shep would have used protection. He's not Thomas.
We learn
yes,
whether he does or not in a bit. Because these are not the only people. We get to watch the game of telephone in this episode, Maria, as to everybody learning that T-Rav and Kathryn have a pregnancy scare going on. Everybody knows about it in very short order.
It's wild to me, too, because this is a situation where none of this even had to happen. It was just, it's so stupid. I don't understand. If he's such a ladies' man, did he just like all of a sudden run out of condoms? Like he can go to a drugstore to get a pregnancy test in the middle of the night, but not condoms?
And this is where all of the, I'm a Southern gentleman, I'm
right. That's where that
young
apart, right?
Southern lady, I have good manners. It does, because I think that he's probably of a generation where it's up to the young lady you're having sex with to make sure that she protects herself.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, because he's like 10 years older than me. So he's a mess. God bless him.
I know. We leave Shep and Thomas just forlorn in Shep's living room. And we cut to Kathryn in the same dress. So this is the same day. She must have just left. And maybe they were like, let's bring a camera with Kathryn as she tells her family that she might be pregnant. And she's driving down a country lane, and we get to the Lewisfield plantation, which I paused the screen and read the sign. In 1767, this place was established by Sedgwick Lewis, and then his daughter in 1774 got married, Sarah Lewis, to somebody, and they kept it going, and a bunch of dumb stuff happened. It's like those plaques that you see that are all over New England.
Yes.
George Washington was here.
George Washington blew his nose here.
No, it's like that type of thing. It's like a plaque that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. But this Lewisfield plantation, we realize that she's going to go see her grandmother, is in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, Moncks. We meet Natalie Dennis, who is Kathryn Dennis's grandmother. I love these good old names. Dennis Ravenel is what essentially Natalie Dennis, I think, mentions. Ravenel, that's a good old name. She tells her grandmother she had a fling with Thomas Ravenel, that she likes him a lot. She tells her grandmother that he's 50, and her grandmother says, not a bad age. I like him older.
I like him my grandfather's age. Yes, please.
Yeah. Kathryn says it feels right. Like, she thinks this is a relationship that is going somewhere, that has a future. And I'm so curious where she got that inkling from. And then she tells her grandmother, I might be pregnant. And her grandmother says, oh no.
It's one thing to have a fling. It's another thing to get pregnant.
Yeah. And her grandmother takes it in stride. It's all very quick. Kathryn says that she's worried there won't be a relationship unless she has a child. And so this is where, like, my heart goes out to the 21-year-old Kathryn Dennis, because I think he's only back into me right now because I might be pregnant.
I think she does think that's why she, I believe, also gets pregnant.
Well, we'll find out. Is she or isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So we cut away from there. Not terribly interesting. Grandma doesn't get that much airtime, and we go to Charleston, Tuxedo, where Shep and Cameran are picking out an outfit for JD's Carolina Day party, which I had to do a little deep dive on.
Okay, tell us all about Carolina Day.
Well, and the only reason that I did was because Cam, at some point in this, says that she thinks that it's a holiday that JD made up because she's never heard of it. So the Carolina Day is June 28th. It commemorates the Battle of Sullivan's Island in 1776. So we're talking way back to the birth of this country. So South Carolina patriots defended against a British naval attack, and the British Navy gave up on capturing Charleston. So that's what Carolina Day celebrates. They've been celebrating it since 1777. So literally, they've been celebrating it since it happened. They've celebrated the anniversary.
That's so funny.
It was Palmetto Day. It was called Palmetto Day, and I don't know when they changed it to Carolina Day. But so it is a big deal, I'm assuming, for folks in South Carolina, especially Charleston, because it's all about how the British wanted to take Charleston, and those South Carolina patriots defended it.
Cool. I didn't realize it was a real thing, Heather.
It's a real thing that apparently folks don't know about, even if they're in Charleston. So that's great. She calls it, quote, a figment of JD's imagination. Look up Wikipedia.
It's not surprising because JD is that kind of guy. I think I relate to JD a little bit.
Reason.
Yeah, like I think JD and I would celebrate the opening of an envelope.
He'd be fun.
I thought to myself, as soon as they started talking about this and watching Shep have a tux made and go through that process is kind of interesting. But when I thought to myself, I wish there was like a Massachusetts version. And then I thought, wonder if there is. And then I thought I'll have to ask Heather Heather, we'll figure it out if there's a Massachusetts thing. Because I think it's so great to have a reason just to celebrate, any reason to get friends together.
Absolutely.
Any reason to have people over and sing and dance and be merry and chow down. And in this case, the idea of really formal party. I love the idea that everybody gets dressed up, and I love to be able to do something like that.
I'm pretty sure for JD's actual Carolina Day party, which I believe is episode 5, I'm just going to have to start thinking up ways to have a big sit down. Actually, we have a couple, because I looked at the descriptions of the episodes to come, and I think coming off of the next episode, which is JD's Carolina Day party, I think then Thomas Ravenel gets everybody together
Oh, yeah,
for a
it's
nice
parties.
sit-down dinner.
We might have
So-
to get dressed up for them. I don't know. Might have to
We
look-
absolutely should. We'll have
Yeah.
a fancy dinner.
Mm.
But yeah, so needless to say, Shep is getting a tuxedo for the Carolina Day party, and he wants something untraditional, and Cam immediately tells him no. Of course, she reels him in because that's Cam's job as Shep's friend, is to keep him humble or whatever else. I loved the fact that he says, call Elle McPherson when he thinks he looks good, and she's like, dude, she's old. And he's
Dated
such a funny
reference.
interaction.
So cute, but very dated reference. Yeah, it's funny too, because they are so young that to them everyone is old.
And spoiler alert, I choose Shep for our deep dive this time just from these quotes that he's giving right now. He says, and I'm trying to think, nope, he hasn't yet mentioned that Kathryn might be pregnant, but something happens. He's talking to Cam, and he says, you actually think for 1 second I'm worried about anyone else on Earth? And he follows that up with, personality plus is what I got.
Yeah, he's
His
cute.
ego is popping all the way out of the tuxedo into the street
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point.
Well, he's not
and-
a really good-looking guy, so he has to rely on something else.
Well, it's just funny because then it's like, speaking of T-Rav, Kathryn Dennis might be pregnant, and all Cam can say is, you're lying. Like,
I
this is
know.
made up.
Poor Cam. She grabs her pearls and is like, no, please tell me no.
And I think this is where she yells out, she's 21.
Yeah.
And so she's just in shock. And she says, the thought of having sex with a 50-year-old man, ugh. And she's like, he could be her dad. And he says, it's all very tawdry. I don't like it. I
love
don't like it one bit. And I'm like, all very tawdry. And now, even now, I'm like, I didn't bother to look it up. I'm pretty sure it means distasteful.
Yes, yes,
Um,
I love it. Tacky. It's like tacky. Yeah, I loved it. Because I was just like, oh, he talks like he's literally like Patricia. He's
Showy.
Patricia in pants.
It's tawdry. It's showy, but cheap and of poor quality. I don't know if he used this right. But yeah, it's so interesting. I'm like, okay, Shep, you go ahead and you belittle people who are having sex out there. Fine. That's good. It's not like you do it. And anyway.
Oh, he's super judgy. One of his most prominent features after his veneers is that he is super duper de duper. Well, so it's veneers, he's super judgy, and he's a terrible dresser.
Oh,
All
poor
of those
guy.
things are that he's the triumvirate of doom.
So conversation goes back and forth. Are they trying to have a baby? Why no condom? And Cam goes a little bit off on these, quote, Southern gentlemen out there having sex with no protection. Seems like a bit of an oxymoron to me, unless that's part of what it means to be a Southern gentleman. It's up to the lady. She's got to protect herself. I'm just whatever. Anyway, it's all funny. Shep doesn't want to talk about it at all. Which
No,
becomes a theme.
he wants to distance himself from this. I'll be honest with you. I think that Shep is a better politician than T-Rav ever was. Shep, he knows how to disavow. He knows how to confirm or deny. Like those are his modes that he goes through. And he likes to manipulate people. And he likes to play people. He likes to pretend that he doesn't know something and get someone to spill the beanage. Yeah.
He likes to be the one talking, not the one people are talking about.
Yes. Yes. Well said, Heather. Well said. Yes.
Well, so we get to not season 6, scene 6. We've already been through 5 scenes. Can you believe it? And we cut to Jenna's house, which, quote, is not her house. In
So it's a
parentheses.
rental.
She's being all domestic. She's like doing stuff around the house, putting dishes away or whatever, unpacking whatever. And Whit comes over, and Whitney comes in the door. Gross. I have gross written all over the page.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he's like, "Hey, Foxy," and then he gives her a hug and he grabs her ass. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote, Whitney arrives and rubs her ass as he hugs her. He is underdressed.
Just a two-handed squeeze. Yeah. It was so gross. I'm like, who fondles their friends if they're friends?
Well, here's the thing. I think Whitney has slept with a lot of these women, but
very potentially, but like if she has a boyfriend, like it's just,
I'm sure he was pissed when he saw that.
Oh, he's got all this double entendre. He's like, warm and hot, and there's all this, yeah, baby. And to be honest, she's like deflecting him. Like she's laughing along with him, but almost the way that I would if I'm like, we're filming, dude. Control yourself. Like I don't know. He calls himself skinny fat. He's on a diet of cigarettes and alcohol, did he say? Or just a diet of cigarettes?
He's on the Kate Moss diet. Yeah. So it must be cigarettes and alcohol.
Cigarettes and alcohol. Good for him. But he does come clean right away. The first conversation that we have past the gross stuff is he wants to apologize for Brandy's behavior. It was uncalled for and not her business.
Do you think that he needed to apologize, or do you think that was just a scene he wanted to be in?
Well, you know what's really interesting is that sometimes they play audio that sounds like it's dubbed in as a voiceover.
Yes.
And this is one of those cases where I said that sounded like a dubbed in voiceover. Because he follows that directly up. So I don't know how they started talking about what Brandy said. We cut to him saying there's misconceptions around town, that some cheerleader from Sumter is now dripping with jewels and flying on private jets. And she says, doesn't everybody grow up and try to better themselves? And it's just so interesting. He gives her advice. He tells her she needs to get out in front of it because people are questioning who pays her rent and why. So Brandy, step aside. Whit is going to come and find out all the tea, that there's rumors that she's a gold digger. Yeah. And so this is where I deep dived into her boyfriend. Very quickly, we can learn that her Lou that she mentions as her boyfriend is Louis Ceruzzi. He's a property developer in New York. He's married and has 2 kids. And in season 2, he actually appears in season 2. They all go to New York, which we won't watch together, but they all go to New York. They're all on the top of a skyscraper somewhere. So now, I think he's 60 years old, but he's married to a woman named Therese. They have 2 kids. He later will say he is not her sugar daddy. And then her family gets involved. So they show like not film, but pictures and stuff from when he traveled with her family to Italy for a Jenna King family vacation. It turns out that fun little tidbit of future information for everybody, that he agreed to film, but he thought he would never air. He thought that the show would never air. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we find out from her that if she was a gold digger, she says, if I was a gold digger, I would have married Lou 7 years ago. Sweetheart, you can't marry a man who's already married and whose wife says she knew that he had dalliances, but she never knew about Jenna. You can't marry a man that's already married.
She's like, you're lucky I didn't commit bigamy with this guy. Oh my God. Love you.
So
love
gross.
you.
She actually reminds me of great Bravo show, Vanderpump Rules. She reminds me a lot of Sheena Shea. I don't know why.
Oh,
she just
how
reminds me of
interesting.
Sheena for some reason.
I understand. I understand exactly. Also, they are facially similar.
Yes.
Heather, that is really You're so fucking good.
Well, it's funny because she does go, my boyfriend's name is Lou. He's in New York. I'm 28. He's 55. Age is just a number. She tells us that he's very successful. He's in New York. His name is Lou. And when asked whether or not he's going to JD's Carolina Day party, she says he's traveling. And then Whitney was like, you should just marry this guy. And she says, I'm pretty sure he's waiting on me. No, again,
Or
he's
a divorce.
not, because he's already married.
Pretty sure he's waiting on his divorce lawyer to call him back.
Well, it's just so interesting. If you think about reality shows like these, like, are people not careful about what they say on camera? Because looking back on this 11 years later, she looks like a total posy liar.
I think that so often people don't recognize the import of anything that they say. And I feel like the idea that Jenna would even be talking about this guy is insane. To mention him, to do any of that stuff. It's not even the May-December-ness of the romance. It's the married with children-ish part that we don't love. And then he says the most disgusting thing, and he asks what it is about her that draws men in and gets them addicted. What about her? And then he says, was it that you don't neglect the balls?
Oh, gross. We find out way too much about the fact that Jenna has a thing.
She's good in bed or whatever.
Yeah, that's the cutscene that I'll bring up later. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so strange. Yeah, I'm so happy when this scene with with Jenna and Whitney is over.
Done.
It's so cringy. I'm thrilled to be back at Shep's house.
Are we?
Because I would much rather be knee deep in his anxiety over what's going on with Kathryn than spend another second with Whitney.
Oh, yes, he's in deep reflection.
Yes.
Because T-Rav's situation has hit him hard.
Yeah, he thought he was going to have a relationship with MJ. He said he could see himself getting serious with her, which is hilarious since he literally just slept with Kathryn like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Kathryn was probably a bad idea with the whole pregnancy thing and Craig's feelings about him sleeping with her. He's like, the decisions I make, I'm mainly just doing whatever feels good and not thinking about it. And so he thinks that
it shows.
It's funny because he doesn't actually say here, I need to change. He's just like, this is what's going on. And I don't want to jeopardize my relationship with MJ. He can see it getting serious. So we cut to MJ.
Oh my God. And they're in a cute little cafe. We find out she's a yoga teacher. And she says.
On the side. That's not even her main job.
Yeah, and she seems like a really interesting person.
Yeah.
He asks if it's cheesy for a guy to go to a yoga class. Everything he talks about, I think to myself, is it like 1975 in South Carolina?
So gross.
Like, why is he asking if it's weird for a guy to go a yoga class? But then he says he likes her hair, and then it's at that moment that I realize she doesn't like him. Her reaction there, his sidebar, is that he thinks that she's heard about him, his reputation, which would not be surprising considering he does seem to get around.
Well, we're going to learn throughout this episode that Charleston is a city, but it is like gossip town.
It's got town vibes.
I could see from their date on the beach that she wasn't that interested in him. And let's see what happened after the date on the beach. He taught Kathryn how to surf, then they all went clubbing. He took Kathryn home. I'm sure she knows a little bit about what's going on. And I love the fact that he's having this awkward thing going on. Their greeting was awkward. He changes his order because whatever from wine. He
wanted wine. I would love to have known. I wasn't able to figure out what time it was.
Oh, it's just terrible. And she's like, yeah, men come to see me. But he's like, okay, let's make concrete plans. Because he wants to move this forward, like T-Rav and Danny. 100%. Like, there's a way these things happen. You have to be in bed with me by the X amount of date. Like, what do you want to do? And he's saying, she's never available. How is this possible? And he asks her, how full is your social calendar? Best answer ever. Full.
Very. Yeah. Here's the thing. What is it about this that he doesn't get? If a woman likes you, she's like moving shit around.
Yeah. I mean, it's
He
so
moves it around.
interesting. It's
weird.
like he doesn't want to fail on TV.
Right. So he just keeps moving forward with it. He keeps moving forward. And it
He
just
says he's
looks
going to forge ahead.
Yeah, he just looks insane. He looks like so desperate. And again, it feels like every scene we're in, by the time that scene is over, I'm so ready to leave that place.
Dude, and I loved it too, because I wrote down that she's sending him all the signs that she's not interested and that maybe even is uncomfortable with any of this being a date. My favorite is he's like, "We done?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Yep. Yeah, we sure. Like, this is not a date. Yeah, this is like not, they're barely friends. Then we get to 4:30. Thomas arrives at Whitney's mother's house, and then they head to the pool. And so then we hear the use of the word tawdry for the second time in the episode.
Yes.
When Whitney says, "What tawdry mess did you get yourself into this time?" And this is when, of course, Thomas tells him about Kathryn. And this whole discussion I find annoying between the two of them. And Whitney talks about how Thomas ignores every red flag he sees. And it's basically just echoing, and I think we've all had a friend like this, right? Someone who is self-destructive, someone who doesn't take care of themselves, someone who doesn't make good choices. We've all had someone like that, but I think there comes a point where it's really tough to keep saving that person. And I think Whitney has reached that point because he's gotten to the point now where he's mean. Because he's saying things to Thomas, listen, if you had a snowball's chance in hell of getting elected before, if you get this 21-year-old girl pregnant, it's over. Because you can just tell he's so frustrated.
Oh God, the stuff I wrote down everything that they said just because I thought it was so interesting. Like, I clocked Thomas saying maybe she's just trying to get some attention. Don't be a jerk.
Oh my God.
Gross. But Whitney questions him on what he's doing with these young girls. He tells him if she's not pregnant, just let the poor thing live her life, is what he calls Kathryn. He tells him you look old and pervy going after these two young girls, not just young girls, just TOO young girls. They're too young.
I agree with all of this, by the way.
Yep, especially politically, it doesn't look good. He tells him your whole view is who cares what society thinks, clearly, but that this will torpedo his political chances. And he's like, have you ever stopped to consider that? And Thomas's answer is no, never. And then he says, we're both adults. This is being T-Rav talking about him and Kathryn. And then Whitney says, somewhat. But then Whitney says, you shouldn't have stuck your finger there in the first place. What were you thinking? And Thomas says, at least they can't put me in prison for it.
It's so stupid. This whole conversation is so annoying. By the time it was over, as much as Whitney makes me cringe, I felt like I was like Whitney's like hype man, like Luther from Obama sketches with Key and Peele. That everything Whitney said, I was like, yeah, motherfucker. Like I couldn't understand what Thomas doesn't understand about how he is torpedoing his political future with terrible choices. And
we know that Whitney can try to give him sage advice because he did so after his polo match when he sat him down in the living room and was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. But this reprieve from this scene is the cut scene in between the commercials that at the Aqua Day Spa and Nails with Jenna King and her friend Jessica, where Jenna tells us while they're getting their feet done and she's got her nails wrapped up to get gels. People in Charleston are born and bred to go to college, get married, and have a white picket fence. And Jenna asks her friend Jessica, will I find someone to marry here? And Jessica says it takes a special kind of man to tame Jenna King. And Jenna says, I like that. And that the men in Charleston are just not worldly enough for her. But the end of that cutscene, what do we find out that Jenna has?
This is going to be the name of our band. I would actually, maybe this should be the new name of the podcast. Crystal Meth Pussy.
Oh, I thought she said vagina.
Oh, but that's what I want us to call our podcast.
Oh, Crystal Meth Pussy?
Yes.
Okay.
But she said it's a crystal meth vagina that Charleston men, the men that sleep with her, just keep coming back. They become addicted.
Blech.
Gross.
Yeah.
Anyway,
me gusta. Cut
let's go
right
to
to the
the
third to
house,
last scene.
Jenna's house. Cameran comes over and they are talking about Carolina Day and they're up in Jenna's room.
Yep,
And
they're looking for looks.
she has all of her Louboutins as you do on your bureau, right? You don't keep them in your closet. You keep them on your bureau. And of course, you have them turned facing away from you so that you can see the red bottoms,
Of
right?
course,
That was
you got to know how
all
much money you
staged,
got.
all staged for the show, of course. You would turn them the other way because you'd want to see what they would look like with your outfit, whatever.
Meanwhile, I'm imagining her bedroom as a mattress on the floor, and I know that's not the case, but that's how she truly lives.
Yeah, it does look rented now that you say that. Excuse me.
And I did want to mention, just for context, that Cam appears to be going there directly after the tux fitting with Shep. So she's fresh off the hot goss that she just got from Shep that T-Rav and Kathryn are having a pregnancy scare.
Well, it must be so hard to keep it in before you even got upstairs. I think I would be saying it like I'd be hugging you going, hi, and I would be like spilling the beans right there.
Guess what? Yeah.
They go upstairs and Jenna starts showing off a bunch of outfits that are 100% inappropriate for whatever Carolina Day is going to be. I think just for shock value, right? Just because obviously you have Cameran, who is never going to wear any of those things. That's why she tried on those shoes and did a walk around in 6-inch platform heels.
Yeah, and I was scared for her ankles when she was doing that.
Me too. She probably still was only 5'5", and she's so tiny, and she was so cute and trying, I think, to be maybe cagey about the information she had, but she finally does spill and tell Jenna about Kathryn's potential pregnancy, and they think she might be faking.
Yes. I thought it was really interesting, the pregnancy scare gossip as it moves its way around. Not everyone knows, but Jenna essentially is like, well, Charleston is very similar to Hollywood, older men marrying younger women. And I thought that was interesting. Cam calls the relationship of this group of friends incestuous. And she runs through the fact that Craig had a crush on her, Thomas slept with her, Shep slept with her. And she's like, ain't love crazy?
Yeah, I think we've all had those friend groups too, right? Where it does become a little incestuous. So I think thankfully we have Cameran. She's the voice of the people. She's keeping it real for us. So I always love a scene with Cameran because sometimes after the grossness of Whitney or like the super slurriness of T-Rav, I feel like Cameran is like lemon sorbet.
Yes.
Love her.
She's breezy,
yes. Palate
smart,
cleansing,
well-spoken.
Fabulous. Yeah, and she's genuine.
And so I was proud of her actually because she stopped short of insulting Jenna, because she almost made the same joke that she did to Shep about how she couldn't possibly see somebody sleeping with a 50-something-year-old. I think she stopped short of saying it. You can almost see her catching it because she knows that Lou is 50-something as well.
She knows
she
they're
all
these girls, and I think that's the thing. It's normalized for them to have a sugar daddy. So then we go to Shep, just fucking around playing golf at his house.
Yep, back to Shep.
He says he feels like he dodged a bullet with Kathryn. Agree.
And he's gonna learn from it.
Yeah, he does. He wants to learn from it. Craig comes over to putt on the lawn, and they start to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart, and he says that they've already gotten over the whole thing with Kathryn and that they're good now. And they start talking about MJ. And so that's when Craig tells Shep that MJ has a long-term boyfriend in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And then he says that he and Naomi, who we will find out later that Craig will date, saw MJ and the boyfriend in a restaurant. And it's sad to watch because you see that Shep actually does like MJ, and Craig really enjoys telling Shep about the boyfriend. And what it made me think of was like, these people just really don't like each other. There's a lot of bad feelings here. There's a lot of like meanness. He says, and again, these are things he's saying to a camera. He says Shep is 33 and still backstabbing his friends. He had it coming. Mm-hmm. And I wrote, did these people even like each other? Right? Craig is loving this. It's so mean. What do you think?
Just the things that I wrote down here. He does go on a diatribe about it's not about revenge, but Shep's an idiot, and you shouldn't stoop to the Shep level of backstabbing friends, and it's the principle of the thing. And he says, with all your charm, education, and family name, you got beat by a guy from Ohio. Which was interesting, the bashing of the boyfriend from Ohio that, they're like beating their chests talking about how because Shep actually says, what is he? If he's a pro athlete, fine. He thinks that that's the only thing that can beat him. Yes. We've heard that before. And he says, she's turning me into the damn girl. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, okay. There's so much in the cringe here.
Which this was my call out, because there is a reunion on this season that we're definitely going to watch and talk about. I would love it if MJ and her Ohio boyfriend are special guests on the reunion. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
I would love it if just MJ comes out and it was like, yeah, I never liked you. I never gave you any indication that I liked you. You just wouldn't stop calling me. I hope that happens, but I don't think it will.
And I don't know if it will. Craig or somebody else saying that she should fall for a guy with a job, a future, and ambition, and that Shep doesn't really look like he's going anywhere soon.
Yeah, and again, while all these things are true, these are like true but useless statements, right? And these are things that like you wouldn't say about your actual friend.
No.
Right?
Well,
and not on camera.
Craig and Shep right now are the only two younger men in this show. You know what I mean? Everybody else is older. So they're the ones competing for the young ladies. Except for T-Rav, who will stick it in anything. But
I was just going to say, and speaking of Thomas, he is our next stop.
Yes,
Thomas and Kathryn in the car on the way to the doctor.
Yes, and he says, first of all, did you talk to your mom?
Yep. No.
She's curious what she thinks. Yeah, she tells him that she talked to her grandmother, who was married at 20 to a politician who is 10 years older. So she's hoping to continue that family tradition. There's suspenseful music playing.
Oh my God, the music. Oh my God.
And honestly, like, they get...
It's so dramatic.
To the place? No, yes, they do. So this is the scene where they go to the doctor. He's literally just falling apart. It's like terrible voiceovers of more scandal. And she asks him, do you want to get married and have kids? And he says yes. And then she tells him, such a 21-year-old thing to say.
Yes. Oh my God.
That she wants the fairy tale, cute family, white picket fence.
Yep.
And if it happens, he says, or he or she says they'll embrace it. But if it doesn't, she tells him, I still have feelings for you. To which he responds, I just want to know, yay or nay. He's having a full-on panic attack.
Oh yeah, like
his doctor's office.
His head is in his hands. He's a fucking mess. How is this man a good politician? How is he the treasurer of the state of South Carolina? What did he do when there was pressure? Did he just fall apart in his house? It's crazy.
You know what helped with pressure? Coke.
I was just going to say, he's also obliterated constantly. So I think part of it is that. But
and we also get a little bit more of the timeline because the doctor comes in and he asks her when her last period was, which was the first week of May. So June 28th is the Carolina Day celebration, as we just learned from our lovely research. So now we know her last period was the first week of May. So yeah, she's definitely late. But dun 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 dun, drum roll. Is she pregnant?
Thank God, no. And Thomas really takes a breath for probably the first time in 24 hours.
Yep, and his first response is, I want to go get a margarita.
Well, this is why they're perfect for each other.
Let's go. So they go to Broad Church. I don't know what the restaurant they went to because they didn't show this one.
I was just going to say, we have to just walk around Broad Church and try and see if we can find it.
Yep, they show the street sign, Broad Church, but that's it.
We'll find it.
The sign outside the door behind the glass was blurry.
Yep.
So they go to a restaurant. There's margaritas all around. We're going to celebrate that we're not pregnant. And he lets her know that he feels like he knows her better. He can see her vulnerability, and that she seems to be a woman who needs a man to be strong for her, that she's an old soul. And he wants to know if her family likes him. And she says, yeah, they think you're okay. But he feels in a voiceover, terrible. He says he didn't give her a chance. She has great poise and confidence, and he has respect for how she handled this. And he calls her beautiful, smart, magnificent. I think this is a voiceover, and an asset. He calls her an asset to him.
Yep. All of a sudden. No, and I think a big part of it is she likes to party the way that he does. She has the right reaction, the coquettish reaction to the things that he says. She does see him as a father figure that she needs. And her family doesn't care about the scandal, and she doesn't care about the scandal because she's white trashy herself. Yep. Even though she was from a previously prominent family. The fact that she's showing poise and confidence, I think he's drunk, and I don't think she's just showing the fact that she wants to be with him. And to him, that's poise and confidence. And
well,
then, of course,
sure is better than Danny, who obviously does not want to be with him. So.
No, Danny, who's so intelligent and got out of there. She's the one who dodged a bullet, bless her. Yes. And the last thing he does is invite her to the Carolina Day party. Because he's in 8th grade. His girlfriend. Yes.
His girlfriend.
And Kathryn also, because she truly is in 8th grade, she completely lights up. Lights up.
This is the what she's been hoping. He wants to be his girlfriend.
1000%. So yeah, this was an interesting one. I can't wait for next time, mostly because of the close. What I want you to notice, Heather, is Kathryn is about to change. So she is about to change her entire look, her entire vibe. She's about to become Mrs. Thomas Ravenel in her head. And she is going to dress and speak and act the part. She will never again look like the little girl that she does in these 4 episodes.
Well, she is now officially his girlfriend. Whereas before, she was just a hookup. So as his girlfriend, does she not need to act the part?
She leans into it incredibly heavily. Yeah, she is playing the part beautifully, and she changes almost overnight. I will say to you that I think she never has looked more beautiful before or since the Carolina Day party.
And see, I haven't seen it yet, so...
Well, I remember the dress, so that's why I'm excited.
We're gonna have to wait and see. Yes. Is it green?
It is green.
Okay.
It's stunning. Well, she looks gorgeous in green. I'm sure that will be my favorite for the next 2 episodes. Any episode that has Carolina Day, it'll be my favorite outfit. But let's talk about the categories, Heather. Let's dive into our Southern Charm categories. So the first one is fashion favorite. What was your fashion fave?
Well, I'm pretty sure I took notes on this, so hold on one second.
Hold, please.
I really enjoyed Thomas Ravenel's walking tour around Charleston. He walks to Shep's, he walks to Whitney's. But did we catch Whitney's outfit when he walked outside to let Thomas Ravenel into his gate? He has on what looks like old man New Balance sneakers. Green what? Oh, green New Balance pants.
Yes.
So it's like bright grass green, Celtic green New Balance pants. And then some random blue t-shirt that I couldn't see what the logo was on, but I was like, oh, this is Whit's hanging around the house look. And it stuck in my head. I can picture it right now. It just made me laugh, and that was my look.
Oh, that's a good one. Here's the thing. Whitney, I think, is a very interesting dresser. Normally, there's always something about his clothes that I like. So it's interesting that you picked that outfit, because I also picked Whitney this episode. But it was his Savile Row suit.
It was his suit, yes.
I thought that was a beautiful, and I have to say, that suit is one of those things where you can look at it and go like that, the money that is spent for a bespoke custom suit, right? It fits him like a glove. It was just, I thought it was gorgeous. I thought Pat
Lovely.
also looks great, but yeah, that was my absolute.
I thought they looked good. I thought that we should probably give a nod to Shep for looking good in a tux, but he knows he looks good in a tux. He's still young in his 30s, and I'm a
He's
handsome
such a dick.
man. I'm a
He's a
handsome
dick.
man in a tux. But yeah, that was my look.
Cool. How about number 2? Wish we were there. That's when we say to ourselves, "Oh, I wish I was at that location to be part of that scene." Which one for you?
To be honest, this is where I'm going to go to that Gibbs Museum event because I
Ooh.
really, although I do love to get my nails done, but I don't think I want to sit next to Jenna and her friend. I don't think I want to be friends with them. So I think I want to go to the really cool fundraiser and hear about all the art and what everybody's doing. Maybe they give away gift bags or something. I just thought that was nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but you're right. That is probably the best party of the episode, maybe even the best party we've seen so far. That actually looked really cool. I was thinking more of wanting to be with Cam and Jenna in Jenna's bedroom.
Trying on clothes?
I really want to get into the closet. Like, I want Jenna to sit down, and then I want to be in the closet pulling out things. I need her to sit down. I would, like, if that was my friend, if that was you, I'd be like, Heather, sit down. I need to get in there. Let me take a look. So I was excited to see what she had in there. So I thought that would be fun. Number 3, do we want to do most cringeworthy moment?
Oh God, there were so many. What was yours?
So I actually, for me, I had a hard time with Thomas a lot this episode. Yeah. And a lot with I actually had that there were opportunities for us to say that, like, Craig said some crappy shit. I feel like all the men. I think Craig said some horrible stuff. I think Thomas, I think Shep, I think Whitney. But it was when Whitney came in to that scene with Jenna in her house, and he was like, why are men so addicted to you? Like, he's just, it reminded me of someone that I knew when I was younger who was gross like that. And that type of guy just turns me off. So for me, it was definitely that.
Yeah, I can't think of any scene other than maybe Cam and Shep, although Shep was gross in that one too, where there isn't cringe. I think I cringed the hardest though, like full body cringing, the date with Shep and MJ. It was so obvious that she is not into him. He's trying too hard. I don't know why she agreed to go on a date with him. Maybe she doesn't seem like she's interested in the television aspect of it. Like, it was just so sad. Like, it was hard to watch. Of many things that were hard to watch, we could also cringe all over Jenna acting like her boyfriend wants to marry her. That's kind of fun too. So any of those.
All so bad. It's all so bad, dude. It's just one of those situations where that's what I love about it. That's why it's such a good choice for us, because it is pure cringe. I mean, shit, this is the definition of the work that we do. We're doing the Lord's work here, my friend. That's what we're doing.
We sure are.
We're doing the work of the Lord by trying to slog through this and explain to our friends what went wrong and why these people are horrific. Oh, but yes. This was a great episode. All right, so we have our categories. We've gone through the episode. Any final thoughts before
we deep dive into Shep?
Yes.
As our highlight of this episode.
I cannot wait.
It's interesting. I think that our different perspectives on Kathryn are so great because I know I watched the rest of, I should say, more than just season 1 up to episode 4. And I think they're really doing a good job of bringing me along with her and being like, oh, this poor young lady just being taken advantage of by these gross men.
Yeah, I think she's shucking and jiving you, but you're also a nicer person than I am. I'm a little bit more pessimistic about people. And just in general, I have always felt like Kathryn was one of those women who was out to trap a man. And I think she hooked a very fucking big fish in Thomas Ravenel.
I guess, although if she was Senate Barbie, I feel like she could have done a lot better. found herself a nice young senator. Or,
I don't think she's
like
very intelligent. I think that people know she's kind of garbage. I think
oh no, poor
she's
thing.
garbage. Yes. So it'll be interesting, Heather. I'm dying to see how, or maybe if our perspectives change along the way. Who knows?
Yep. So season 1, episode 5, I don't know what it's called, but I believe we're going to a Carolina Day party, and we get to see what it's all about in case we want to head to a Carolina Day party one day.
I can't wait. I can't wait. But please, I know that you have done so much great research on Shep for our spotlight this week. Did he have anything interesting about his Wikipedia?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because it's happened a few times when you're searching for folks from Southern Charm. Sometimes they have a Wikipedia and sometimes they don't. It feels like a lot of the folks are very curated because maybe there's many seasons and they become a television personality or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should curate their online content to make sure that it reflects who they feel they are.
Sure.
And before I get to Shep's Wikipedia, which is hilarious, I did just want to mention that AI is all over Shep's veneers, as you like to call them. So there's a whole little article here about, yes, Shep Rose's teeth are real, but he has had some dental work done, including the removal of a cracked tooth and wisdom teeth. He has also mentioned wearing dentures at different points, attributing them to a high school football game and a college party incident. He has received dental work, including a tooth extraction, and has jokingly mentioned getting a necklace made from his extracted tooth. So he does have real teeth, but he has had some removed due to damage. He has had a cracked tooth and wisdom teeth and all that great stuff. He mentions dentures, but I think you're spot on with the veneers, or he just has really, really big, easily cracked, gets in a lot of fights, is a little too rough with his body.
Work. God bless him. God bless him.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Shep Rose. Now, other than what I already covered about Shep, which is here, he's born September 27th, 1980. So at the time of filming in 2014, he is 34 years old. He likes to sleep till 1:28 p.m. But he was actually born in Cincinnati, Ohio. But he reports that Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, is his birthplace. And what I want to say, and I'm going to encourage everybody to go check it out, just go to Shep Rose's Wikipedia. It is the only Wikipedia page where I don't trust a single thing on it, because at the top of his Wikipedia page is the disclaimer that this article has many issues. Please help fix them or discuss them in the article's talk page, one of which says this article or section resembles a fan site. And this is from April 2024. I guess Wikipedia does a review occasionally, or they let people make comments. It also claims that his Wikipedia article contains weasel words, which is vague phrasing that often accompanies biased or unverifiable information. So it's so interesting. I'm curious, because you can go on and you can edit Wikipedia. Is he editing his own Wikipedia page? Who knows? Maybe a couple ex-girlfriends that don't like him. But yeah, so we all know his family has a dog named after them, which is the state dog, the Boykin Spaniel. Like, nobody cares. He does have a business degree from Vanderbilt, but he is, quote, passionate about leisure, is how he introduced himself. He is the second of 3 children. So he has a brother and a sister, an older sister and a younger brother, who I believe he mentioned when he was talking about his family, that his brother's married and his sister. What can we know about her? She has 2 kids. That was what was important to mention about her as far as he was concerned.
Poor thing.
His family moved to Sea Pines, Hilton Head Island when he was 2 years old. All of this stuff, though, says better source needed. So let's take it all with a grain of salt.
Sure.
He did end up going to Hilton Head Preparatory School, which is a private school. He went to a bunch of different, an Episcopal high school, a college prep boarding school in Virginia. He graduated from the University of Georgia, and he graduated from Vanderbilt with his Master of Business Administration in 2009.
Oh, he's a master's. He's
Yep.
a master's. Wow. Okay.
He went to the Owen Graduate School of Management. So this being 5 years later, it's interesting because I don't know if you caught Craig's dig that all of his education and everything else. So he is a well-educated young man. He worked as a real estate agent when he was living in Dubai. Right? He was forced to quit in 2008 during what is written down here as the Great Recession, which I'm pretty sure, I guess it's not the Great Depression, but okay, like the Great Recession. I didn't know that was a thing.
But okay.
This is his first experience with television. So I think that when these Real Housewives or other Bravo spin-off shows happen, for the most part, people are not famous already. You're taking people off the street. So this was his first
foray into television.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for, where he was a main cast member. But what's interesting here is his other acting.
Okay.
So he was on a web series apparently titled Shepic Fail, about how him and Craig and Hunter Gardner, I guess, do some things. And that series started in 2014 in November. Now, what's interesting is the episode that I mentioned from season 2 with Jenna and her boyfriend Lou, that came out in June of 2014. So this season ends in April, I think, of 2014 is when the reunion airs. And I think they start season 2 very quickly because the article about Jenna and her boyfriend came out in June, and it was like, this just aired and it's season 2. I think that may be how they kick off season 2, by going to New York. But he also was in a spin-off from Southern Charm called Relationship.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Where he was looking for love in all the wrong places because he apparently can't find a lady. And I'm fairly certain he didn't find anybody on that show either. I never watched it, but
no, I believe that he thought he did, but it did not last far beyond the show. So it did not ultimately work out. Poor Shep.
Well, so it's interesting now. We go into his business life, which I'm not fully reading from here, but I didn't want to go too far into this because he apparently is the owner of the Commodore, which is a bar and grill in Charleston that opened in 2016.
Which we could go and visit, you mean?
Yeah, maybe. It doesn't say it's closed. And it also says he's a co-owner of 2 other places, the Palace Hotel and the Alley, which are both in Charleston. So he's obviously not doing poorly.
No.
And then he apparently started a coastal wear line, which I assume means like surf gear or the Nantucket red shorts. Like, who knows, like what this is.
Cute.
But he and 2 of his friends who I've never heard of, so we don't care. He also started that in 2016. And, coastal wear line Shep gear. And I don't know if this is the same thing, but he started a line of t-shirts inspired by some of his co-stars. Great.
He's funny.
Now, he started acting, like actual acting, with the role of paramedic number 2 in the action thriller film Reprisal, starring Bruce Willis and a bunch of other people. In 2018, it was released, and I just love it that he's a named actor, but he was paramedic number 2.
Shep.
Oh, poor Shep. Now, after his acting debut and he became opened a restaurant, the whole 9 yards in 2016, he started a podcast called Enough About Me with Shep. Like, it's just so, wait, what is his quote from this one? I ain't worried about anybody else.
Personality plus.
You think for 1 second I'm worried about anyone else on earth, not just Charleston. Personality plus is what I got. Yeah, so he has a podcast he started in 2019 in June, and it ended in October of 2019.
Aww.
He also started a blog and became a stand-up comedian in 2018.
Jesus Christ, Shep. He's done it all.
He wrote a book trades about himself called Average Expectations, Lessons in Lowering the Bar. I think we should do a book club, don't you?
Oh my God. That
was published in 2021.
Might have to.
Now, based on this, it says that he lives in the Isle of Palm, South Carolina, which I think is where he always has been. Nobody cares about the clubs that he joins or other things like that. But before Southern Charm, he was in a relationship with Danny, which we already know. He was also linked to Chelsea Meissner, Meissner. That was in 2016. So 2 years after this takes place. And I mean, he had an entire show around getting him a date, but it says here that the only other thing it mentions in his relationships is that he was in a relationship with orthodontics assistant Taylor Ann Green between March 2020 and July 2022. Maybe that's from the show. I don't know, but he was in a 2-year relationship that obviously is over.
Can't remember who she was, the orthodontics person.
Now,
sorry, I'm just blinding myself.
No, please. I'm so sorry. I know you've got light in your face. Only a couple other things. He's endorsed some people, blah, blah, blah. But he is a philanthropist. So he's the founder of a charitable trust, and he donates to many charities every December. And he supported Memorial Foundation in the honor of his best friend's brother, his childhood best friend's brother, who died in cancer. And he raised $25,000 for the Bahamas after the Hurricane Dorian in 2019. So obviously he has a good heart. Like, we can see that. He seems
he's a good guy.
A bit of a good guy, but controversies is the last section here. And let me just mention things I didn't know. He was arrested over 10 times.
Oh, shit.
And Shep has been arrested over 10 times. I can see it. Like, when he was at the club with Kathryn, he was drunk. I hate to say it, but there's things that people who get very drunk a lot do that can get you arrested. But then finally, I'm going to read this one, which, again, this is all hearsay because who knows. He apparently faced criticism in August of 2019 after he posted a video to his Instagram stories where he can be heard mocking a homeless woman who was collecting cans. And it says here, he at first didn't want to say sorry, but he did 4 days later and deactivated his Twitter account and took a break after that. So those are his controversies. I'm just looking to see. I also asked if there was any fun facts about him. There aren't any. Oh, sorry, okay. I'm gonna read a couple of these. One of his ancestors is supposedly the inspiration for the character Jordan Baker in The Great Gatsby. He made an appearance in a Bruce Willis movie. We all know what that was. It was Paramedic Number 2, but he also made an appearance in Vanderpump Rules, which I don't remember.
Me either.
He likes to go to Berlin and Paris, and he is a fan of both Chinese and continental cuisine. Those are the fun facts about Shep.
That was a deep dive, my darling. I appreciate that. That was really good. Great job.
Yes, thank you, Wikipedia, AI-generated content, and everything else that helped me find out if Shep's teeth are real.
Oh, fabulous. We call you Columbo from now on, Heather. That's who you are.
I love it. I think that it is going to be a very fun party next time, Maria. And I don't know, like at first I was like, we have a bunch more episodes. There are a couple more episodes of the regular season, and then we have the reunion and
Yes.
a clip show.
Well, I think we also need to do Patricia.
Oh, yes. So I was thinking, like, let's see who comes out and really shows themselves at JD's party. Who knows? It may be JD. JD may get a shout out.
I was just going to say, he's also a very interesting dude, so that would be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully everyone who's listening has already fired up their Peacock subscriptions so that they're watching along with us. We will catch you in the next one where we're just going to be partying down. We'll see you on Carolina Day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.